Hey guys, welcome back to Models and Beer. Welcome back to part 3 of our Trumpeter 116 German King Tiger build. And this is where we left off on the last video. We had all our inside our hull, the inside walls of our hull. We got those all detailed and ready to go. We have all our ribs in place. And so our next thing we need to do is get these guys in place here. And I did do a dry fit on these already, guys, so it seems as though there's going to be no issues getting this put in. We do, however, have to get all these ribs in between each one of these. You can see those slits there, right? So that it seats properly. And like I said, I already did a dry fit, and it seems though everything is in order and ready to be secured. So let me find my bottle of glue here. Be right back. Okay, here we go. So anytime I'm joining glue or painted parts, guys, I always use my CA. In the event that it's plastic to plastic, I use my regular plastic glue. The plastic glue will not work if you're gluing paint to paint because it will not penetrate the paint to get to the plastic. So okay, let's see if we can make this happen here. And we got both sides to do. I haven't done anything since the last video. And I don't know that we're going to need a whole lot on here. It's actually a tight fitting without the glue. But I want to put this on just for good measure. Because we need that to be right up against that hole. Because we got pieces that are going to be going in between. Alright guys, here we go. So we'll start off by putting this big piece into its hole first, like so. Okay, and then we'll work it in rib by rib here. There we go, just like that. There we go. Yeah, that looks good. I want to make sure I got that all the way down. Let's do a little bit of clamping here. That is a tight clamp. I don't think I'm going to put that one on there. I don't want to crush this side piece here. I think I'll give it a minute, just kind of hold this. So, be right back, guys. Alright guys, we got that one in place. Like I said, it went in really with no issues. I was going to try to clamp that just to hold it a little bit tighter, but I was concerned about this lip here. You can see how far that sticks out. And this clamp that I have is like really strong, and I would have ended up damaging this here. And I mean, the sidewall inside this hole here went together with hardly any space anyway, so I don't feel as though it was really necessary to go through that. So, alright, let's get this other side put in. Let me get this turned around. Okay. Same thing. Let's get a little bit on this end here. I appreciate all the positive feedback, guys, that I've been getting on this build so far. I'm going to put a little bit over here on the top because I noticed on that other side that that's one of the areas that it grabs at. Okay, like that. All right, here we go. Work that in, and it is a nice tight fit. Oops. And again, we gotta make sure we get it over these ribs. And there's a bunch of them there. Oh, went right in there. See, I already test fitted these guys, so I know that it was going to work. But make sure you test fit yours. If you have these splines not straight up and down, they will interfere with this piece going in correctly. Okay. Turn this around. There it goes. I was going to say I wasn't happy with that. That piece was sticking up, but we got it now. It just needs a little bit of force. There we go. Alright guys, let me hang on to this for a few minutes. Let me get this to set, okay? I'll be right back. Alright, there we go. We got our walls on. Okay. And you'll notice I did do a little bit of cleaning out here. You can see where it's back to the plastic color. And the reason I did do that is I had primed that, and those holes are there to accept these pieces here. And you'll see that they have little, let me see if I can get that on camera. You can kind of see them right there. They get locked into those holes right here also. And with that primer on there, it was a little bit of a tight fit. So I just took a tiny little drill bit on my Dremel tool and I just reamed that out a little bit, just so it would accept this male part with no problems, okay? So yeah, we need to go ahead and get these guys glued in as according to instruction. And let me make sure I got the right pieces going in the right spot here. Okay, so there is a longer and a shorter one. And the longer one looks as though it's going to go right in here like this. And let me just do a quick dry fit to make sure that I got enough of those holes cleared out that those tabs are going to lock in. And again, these got to fit over these ribs that we got here. So when you're putting those ribs in, guys, I would pay attention. Make sure that you are in a vertical straight up and down position. If those are leaning too far forwards or too far to the back, you're going to have issues trying to line up these side walls and these pieces here. And it looks like everything's locking in okay. Okay. So what we'll do is we'll take it at one end and we're just going to work our way back. I think that would be the best way to handle that. Alright, so let's get a little bit of glue on here. I don't think it takes much, just enough to get those tabs to grab on. There we go. And like I said, I'll start at one end and work my way to the other. I don't guess it matters which end we start on, right? Let's start back here. Yeah, I think everything is seated where it's supposed to be. Alright, let me give that a few minutes to set, guys. Be right back. Alright, let's get that second one on here. Alright, cool. I'm going to put just a little bit in this top piece here because it has where it locks in from the top on this end piece here. So I just want to make sure I get a little bit of extra. I don't know how much pressure is going to be put on these pieces after, you know, as we get assembling things. And I think the only thing it is the bars going through, the axles going through them. So I don't see that they're going to be under a whole lot of stress. All right, very cool. There we go. Let's give that a few minutes to set up, and we shall proceed. Be right back. Okay, so we got part J20, which seems to be a cradle of some sort. So let's go ahead and put that guy in there. And it doesn't seem to be directional. It looks as though it's the same all the way around, so I don't guess it matters which way that you get it in there. Let me get in here a little closer, guys, so you can see what's actually happening here. I'm just going to go right in here. Might have been easier to put that in before I put that strip in there. There it is right there. Alright, cool. I'm going to give that a minute to set up. And if you are following along, guys, this is part J20. Like I said, it seems as though it's just a cradle for whatever is going to be setting in here. There you go, you can see it now. Alright, cool. Okay, guys, so what we're going to need to do now is we got one more step left on this one, and that is to get part F14, which is this plate here, and I already got it primed and cleaned up, or painted the whole red that we're using, the red and brown. Okay, and we got a couple of pieces that are going to be going into here. And then we're just gonna, this is just gonna slide right down into, hang on, let's see if it fits real quick. I haven't even test fitted this yet. It's gonna slide, oh, there it goes, okay. Yeah, that's a tight, look how tight that is. But that is gonna fit down something like that. And that really tightens up this, these sidewalls that we put up. Let's get this back out of here. There we go. Alright, so yeah, let's get these parts assembled here, and then we'll stick that in there where it belongs. We'll be right back. However, it's got us putting a few parts on here, okay, and you can see them here. Two J33s, which are these guys here. And I did paint these black. However, I'm not keeping them black. Let me tell you what happened. I thought black would be a good contrast up against this this red brown that we're using on the inside of our hull, and these pieces are going to be fitting as such, okay, and then this one is over here like this, and Then we have a pedal, which is going right here. Okay, guys, we're getting into the driver's controls. This is some kind of a pedal. I don't know that it's a gas pedal or if it's a clutch pedal or if it's a pedal that just does something else. But anyways, it lives right here like this, okay? And I was gonna leave it like this. I painted those black, and I was, just kind of so it would stand out a little bit. I did do a little bit of research. I went on Google and I Googled, what did I type in? I don't know. King Tiger driver seat or driver area or something like that. And it actually showed me some pictures of what this is, okay? And let me throw it up here. So what it's looking like is they assembled these tanks and then they just sprayed everything with this red oxide or whatever they used in their hull at the time. And so yeah, these pieces are not black. They are actually the same color as this right here, right? So we have another piece that's going to be going in right here, guys, and it's like 2 pages into the instruction booklet. Let me see if I can find it here. Yeah, see, it's like 2 pages in. Okay, anyways, here it is. So this is going into page 6, but this piece here is some pedals, okay? And those get put in right here onto that plate, which is this area right here. So what I'm going to go ahead and do, guys, I went ahead and cut those pieces out, and I got them right here. So I'm going to go ahead and assemble those, and we're going to go ahead and then put these pieces onto this plate. And then we're just going to go ahead and shoot everything this red oxide color that we got here, because that's what the picture is showing. I mean, the real picture of the actual tank. So yeah, they didn't break up different colors. It was all like they just put everything together and they just took like a sprayer in there and just sprayed everything down, right? So let me go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and get these pedals in right now, simply because we have this piece out. I think it's going to be easier to work with this rather than when it's in the hole and in an angle and a whole bunch of other things in our way. So I went ahead and jumped ahead just a little bit just to get these pieces so that we can go ahead and get this piece here completed, and then we can drop it into the hole, right? And then we'll just move forward from there. So let's go ahead and get this assembled, okay? Actually, while that's drying, we can go ahead and assemble this piece here, right? And these are half moon pieces. You can only get them in one way, so you really can't mess it up. So that's going to go like that, right? Let me just do a test fit here really quick. Yeah, like that. Okay, cool. That's a tight fit, though. You probably don't even have to glue this. There we go. And then let's get this back one on here. Yeah, and these are some more pedals for the driver. There we go. Just like that. And then this is going to go in here just like that. Okay. I think I'm going to CA this piece only because it's kind of heavy. Where's my glue? Yeah, with these extra plastic parts on here, I don't know that our regular plastic glue is going to hold, especially with the paint on there, right? So And that's what we want to do right there. And now I can just go ahead and shoot all of this with this red, this flat red that we're using. So yeah, let's give this a few minutes to paint up, guys. Then this will be all ready to install. All right, we'll be right back. All right, and we're back, and we got it all painted up. We got our pedals installed, and we shot it with our red primer / red oxide, or we're calling it a red oxide because it's pretty doggone close. And those were the pieces that I had painted black in that pedal. I went ahead and shot them with the red also, only because my reference photos are showing that. So there we go. And now let's see if we can get this installed, because this is what it's telling us to do next, is to put this piece in here. Let me raise this up just a little bit, guys, so we can see what's going on here. And I'm assuming this is going to go down as far as this. That's going to catch onto our lip right here, right? And it does sandwich between these two side walls of our hull, and it's a very, very tight fit, as you can see. There we go. That is like really, really tight. Almost to the point, yeah, we don't even probably need glue on this, to be honest with you. There we go. And I'm going to have to back this pedal away from that side thing. There, it kind of snapped. I think that's telling me it's in place, right? Yeah, I'm not even going to glue that. That's like super tight. I don't think we need to mess with that. All right, cool. So we got our pedals in here, and this is all done. And now I think the fun begins, guys, where we start messing with these torsion bars, right? Let's take a look at the instructions back here. And looks like a lot of mumbo jumbo, doesn't it? Look at that. See, that's the one thing, that's the one complaint I can say about Trumpeter, is their instructions are not nearly as clear as the Tamiya kits. You know, how their instructions are laid out. This is nothing but just a bunch of line drawings with lines going everywhere, and I guess we'll just kind of have to make it up as we go. However, it's got us starting off making these bars. So we're going to be making 8 of the CCs, which is going to be parts R2, Q3, and R1. And then we're going to be making 10 of these other ones. And the only difference, it looks like the rods are the same, R2, R2, okay. And then here's the difference right here, Q3 and then Q1. And then we have R1, both of them the same caps that are going on there. So, yeah, all right, so let's go ahead, let's make 8 of these, and let's make 10 of those, and then it looks like we are going to get those installed. And then we're going to move on and see if we can't decipher some of this mess here. It looks like we got some more driver controls going in also, okay? And here's our torsion bars going in. So, all right, guys, yeah, it looks like we got plenty to do on this one. Let me go ahead and get these parts dug out. Looks like we need the R sprue and the Q and R. Yeah, R and Q sprue. All right, let's dig those out, guys, so we can get this started. Be right back. Okay, so I got most of the stuff that's got called out here on the inside of the hull. Okay, we got a few of the pieces here, and I got them ready to go. These are all going to be getting painted that red that we've been using in our hull. Okay, but we do have a couple pieces we can assemble prior to painting. So let's go ahead and do that, and then we're going to get into our torsion bars, okay? So these guys here are just waiting on paint, so I'm going to set those to the side. And this piece here is J41 and J9, okay, which looks like some kind of a lever for the driver. And let's see if we can figure this out. Okay, so it does have a half moon accepting point there. I know it's kind of a blurriness there. And so yeah, you can't mess this up. It's only going to go one way. Okay guys, we got all them pieces painted our red oxide. This is a handle for the driver. I'm not sure exactly what it functions, but I do want to separate its color a little bit from everything else. So I'm going to use this metallic gray, just because I'm sure it's some type of a metal bar, right? Yeah, I'm not really familiar with tank parts and the appropriate names for them, so you'll have to excuse me if I misrepresent something or call it something that it's not. So, but it is a lever for the driver to pull on for one reason or another. Maybe to engage something. My assumption would be to engage some gears that make something happen. And then we're going to go ahead and get this installed. Now I'm spending a lot of work doing a lot of inside detailing here, and I hope at the end it shows up and makes it worth the while. There we go. Once that dries, I'll paint the top of this black so it gives it a little bit of a handle, something for that driver to grab onto. And then the rest we're going to leave that red oxide. Like I said, guys, it seems like when they built these things, they like put the entire thing together, and then they just went in there with like a spray gun and just blasted everything one color from what the pictures look like. And this guy here, he's going to be going in somewhere in here like such. Yeah, you can't see that with my hand in no way, but let's give this a few minutes to dry, and then I'll show you where that goes. We'll put it into place. And these guys here are just sitting here right now. And this piece here, they're just dry fitted in at the moment. So, all right, we'll be right back. Let's go ahead and get these parts assembled. I will be using CA, guys, simply because we're putting painted parts to painted parts. And let's get this guy in first. Okay. And what this is, it seems to be another one of the same type of things as this, but we have the escape hatch here, so it could not continue across. So we got a single one here for one of our torsion bars to go through and not interfere with the escape hatch. There we go. Perfect, there we go. Okay guys, I got all these cut out and cleaned up, and what a task it was. It was monotonous as heck. Alright, so we have 18 of these torsion bars slash axles. I'm not sure the appropriate name for them. And then we have 8 of the Q3s. Or wait a minute. I'm sorry, no. Yeah, 8 of the Q3s, and then we have 10 of the Q1s, okay? And I got them right here separated. And what I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to go ahead and get these painted the black that it calls for. I am not going to be painting these right now because those are going to be exposed to the outside of the hole, which we're going to be painting a completely different color. So we're going to go ahead, let's go ahead and get these guys shot in a flat black, and then we'll go ahead and assemble them to their appropriate part, whether it's Q1 or Q3. And then we'll go ahead and we'll install those into our hull, okay? So let me go ahead and take these into the other room where my paint booth and everything is, and I'll get these painted, and we'll be right back, and then we'll go ahead and start assembly with these pieces here. We'll be right back, guys. Okay, so everything is cut out, cleaned up, and ready to go to make our torsion bars. And I went ahead and got these painted, guys. I painted these a flat black, and then I masked this off, and I sprayed this with that red brown that we're using in our hole there, that red oxide. Okay, and then we have these here that we have to attach to our torsion bars. Now there are 2 different sets, and they all fit on the same size torsion bar, okay? So there's no difference in these. These are all the same. However, there are 2 of these. There's one which are a, let's see, a Q3 and a Q1, okay? And we got 8 of the Q3s, and then we made 10 of the Q1s. And I did mark on the inside which ones they are so I don't lose track. Okay, that one's got a 1 written in it. And then this one here, we got the 3 written inside of there. And these are going to be getting a cap over top of them, so you'll never see my little numbers on the inside. That's just to help me decide or determine where those are going to fit once we go to putting those in the hole, okay? So let's go ahead and do one of these on camera, and then the rest are all identical, so there's no reason to sit here and watch me do 18 of these things. So we'll just go ahead and start with one of these here. And I'm going to be using CA on these guys only because we have it painted, right? However, they are a tight fit. You probably can buy without even painting, or not even gluing these, I should say. And these are going to fit in here as such. And then it's going to send it all the way home, just like that. There we go. There's one down. Okay. Yeah, not a whole lot to that, right? Let's do one more. Just because we're getting warmed up now. Let me get over here where you can see a little bit of what we're doing. And this is going to be the one for the Q3. There we go. Just like that. Alright guys, let me go ahead and get these finished up, and then we'll be right back. Alright, there we have it. We got all 18 of them assembled and ready to go. And we need to stick those into our hole. So it looks like, according to the instructions, that we're going to be going every other one. Okay, so we got, we're going to be starting off with DD, which is the Q1, okay, the one that we made 10 of. And then we go to the CC, which is the Q3. And it looks like we're going to just go back and forth, okay, and it shows you here that every other one is going to be one of the other, right? You know what I'm saying. So let's get that hole up here, and let's see how easily those guys go in. So far, the assembly of these was absolutely no issues. It was a nice tight fit. I did apply glue to those, but I probably could have got away just with a friction fit. They fit super tight. So let's see how they fit into that hole. Let me get that hole up here. Okay, so we'll try to keep this all in frame. Let's see how well we're able to do this, okay? So we got our first one right here. Let me double check my number. That's a R1, yep. So it has us starting off at this very last hole, which is this one right here. And let's work it through all these little obstacles in our way. Alright, what's going on here? Oh, here it goes. Oh, the shock came loose is what's happening, I do believe. There it goes. All right. Took a little bit of effort, but we got that first one in. And this seat's flush. Okay, guys. That was part of the problem I was having, is it's a tight fit getting that into there. But then we also had this shock assembly that we did, and it slid through that one also. And then we have this obstacle in the way, and then we had to slide it in between here and then finally send it home. So let's try another one of those. Okay, so now we got to do one of the other ones, right? So now we need to do one with the number 2 on it. So let's see how this one goes. Let's get it through here. There it goes. Okay. You got to kind of finagle this back and forth until it lines up into that hole there. Okay, which is kind of cool because that way we know everything is in the right position when we're putting these on. So, okay. So now we go back to another one of these and we just go back and forth. Get it in that hole there. Sorry guys if you're making it impossible for you to see here. It's requiring a little bit of effort only to get this through this piece here. Let me back that down just a little bit and that should pop in. Alright, there we go. We got it that time. Alright guys, the rest of these I'm going to do off the camera only because it's requiring a little bit of muscle and we're not able to see much anyway with my hands in the way and this camera's probably shaking. But we're just going to continue on just like we've been doing right here until we get to the end of this. So I'll be back and show you once we get this finished, alright? Alright guys, cool. Got it, all of them in there. Some went easier than others. Got a little bit of a sore thumb from, it wasn't so much like getting it through the center of the hole here, it was getting these end pieces to seat. It was like a really tight fit, but we got them all on there. And I did not glue them, guys. I'm not sure. I mean, they're a nice tight fit. I'm not afraid of them falling out. So, but it doesn't say whether or not to glue those, and I don't know if we're going to need, you know, the movement. What's where am I here on camera? You know, like the movement when after we're putting our tracks and stuff on to make it workable. You know what I'm saying? So I have not glued those, But like I said, just the friction fit is enough to keep them in place. And here's the other side here. All right, cool, right? Making progress. So let me set this here. We're going to let this sit here for a few until I get and look ahead in this instruction book, and we'll see what's next. We'll be right back. Alright guys, so next it's got us working on some more driver controls. This is part J22 and J43, okay? And it is a half moon shape, so it's only going to fit in one way. You really can't mess that up. Let's get this glued. And then we're almost done with the driver compartment. That goes in there just like that. Ooh, that's a loose fit. We're going to hold that a second. Make sure that sets up. Alright, there we go. Alright, and another driver's control. This is a big one. Look at the size of this lever. That one must do something important. Then we'll get those seated into the hull. I am going to paint these that red that we've been using prior to putting those into the hull. I'm just doing the assembly right now, and then I'll take it off and shoot it with the paint, and then we'll come back and set that in. Okay, and that goes together just about like that. There we go. Look at how size that one. Alright guys. Alright, this looks pretty simple. This piece is going to set on there just like that. There we go. There we go. Let's hold that for a second till that grabs. Okay. And hang on, let me shut this door here. Got the TV going in the back room there, and I don't want that to feed into what we're doing here. Okay, and then it looks as though this piece is going to fit right in here like this. Yeah, just like that. There we go. Nice tight fit. Yeah, you should feel the weight on this hull, guys, with just those pieces that we've got on there. I guarantee you it weighs a couple of pounds. I'll have to throw it on a scale just out of curiosity to see where we're at as far as weight goes. But by the time we get this thing done, it should weigh, I mean, quite a few pounds. There's a lot of plastic, and it's thick plastic. It's not the light stuff. It's, you know what I mean? It's nice, heavy, durable plastic. Alright, cool, there we go. So that looks like, okay, hang on, we got J56. We need to get that out. So let me find that really quick. This is my J's for yes. J56. J56, where are you hiding? There you are. Get him clipped out of there. There we go. And all right, guys, let me go ahead and get these pieces out. Let's get these painted, and then we'll be right back and we'll do some assembly. All right, this piece here is so large, I think we will go ahead and just do a little bit of detail on this one here. I don't know if it'll show up in the end, but we will give it a little extra touch. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what this lever did, but it is huge compared to the other driver controls in there. It must took that guy two arms, or two hands I should say, to probably work this thing. My guess is it's engaged some type of gears, or I don't know. If anybody who's into tanks and knows exactly what this is, put it in the comments. I would be really interested in knowing what this was used for. That's the kind of cool thing about doing builds like this, guys. You also learn the history of, as you're working along. As far as you're trying to be, historically accurate, and you do research along the way to try to figure things out. You know a lot more when you're finished than when you had started. And I'm by no means a tank guy. I built several tanks, nothing on this scale. But on my shelf over there, I have 3 or 4 different small tank kits. I think 1/35th scale or something that they have done in the past, but they were all shelves. There was nothing on the inside of those as far as like detail and things like that. So, all right, there's that. Let's let this part here dry up. I do want to paint this handle like a black. We're going to give that driver a comfortable handle to grab onto rather than just that cold piece of steel. So, all right, let's let this dry and we'll be right back. All right, and then here's a flat black. Let's put that for our handle up here. And then we'll just do assembly from here, the rest of these little pieces that we're sitting on. We got this box that we made and this little guy here. I'm not quite sure what that is, but I did figure out where it goes as far as its home on our tank. All right, there we go. So we got that flat back. It almost looks like a sword, doesn't it? It almost looks like a machete. And I'm just going to leave this gearbox here that it is, hang on guys, let me get the lighting and everything here. I got all kinds of messed up stuff going here. There we go. I'm going to leave this gearbox the color that it is, that rust brown red that we're using. Because it seems like most of the stuff in the driver's controls, the pedals and things like that, were all just shot in that red-brown, red oxide / red-brown. So, all right, be right back. All right, let's see if we can figure out where this guy goes here. I don't know if I can get my camera into where you can see that, but we do have a location right here. I don't know if you can see that or not. You can kind of see the indentation right here, right? There we go. All right, Ed, just leave that alone. Don't nobody breathe. All right, guys, let's let that sit up a review. All right, while that's setting up, guys, we have this piece here, and it actually lives in these 2 little holes right here. I don't know if you can make those out. Let's see if I can get in here a little closer for you. Take a look at that. And you can kind of see them right here. So we have this big old box that's going in. That's going in next to it, but I am putting this in first, because once we put that box in there, it's going to limit on how well we're going to, be able to access those two little holes for this thing. Let me back up here, guys, just a little bit so I can get in here. Yeah, that goes just like that. Okay. Alright, so we have one thing left, and we're going to end this video, guys, and that's this. Let me get this right. Let me get things adjusted here. Sorry about that, guys. Is that any better? There we go. And that guy is going to be going in here, okay? And it's got 3 tabs, and then it's got 3 corresponding holes over here. And I know you're not going to be able to see this very well, but we'll take a look at it after I get it seated. Okay, so this is all going to go in behind here. Alright, sorry about that, guys. We got it in there. It was like a really, really tight fit. So I did that kind of off camera because I had to finagle this piece around. But there you go. It's in there now. Okay. So there we have it, guys. That's going to complete this episode of our Trumpeter 116 King Tiger build. And we made some progress in this video here, didn't we? Wasn't the most exciting of content, but we did get a lot accomplished, right? Look at it. We got all these controls in. And our pedals. We got our torsion bars put in. We got this guy here, which I'm assuming maybe some type of a fuel tank, possibly. And we got all our bars on for our road wheels on both sides. So I think this will be a good place to end this video, okay? So, alright guys, there we have it. I appreciate you following along once again, and subscribing and liking the video, and comments, guys. If you have any comments, or if I'm not pronouncing something correctly, or I'm misidentifying something, or if you just thought of a better way that something could be, tackled or handled, let me know. But anyways, this is where we are at. Guys, we are all the way up to page 6. This completes page 6. On the next video, we're going to be moving on to page 7, where we're going to be adding a bunch of more little tight boxes around through here. And yeah, we're going to continue work on the inside of this hole, okay? Alright guys, there you have it. Everybody have a great, week. Yes, we still got the week coming up. I was going to say have a good weekend. But as the filming of this, there's still a few days until the weekend. So, alright guys, I'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye.